I don't even understand. I wouldn't know where to begin with that. Generic Control into that goes. We're back with another FNAF video. Today we have the science of FNAF, which is FNAF AR. Can your phone stop a killer animatronic? Now, I have not seen any of the videos about FNAF AR. Apparently, it's supposed to bring like Five Nights at Freddy's into your house and like have them like walk out of your closet or walk down your hallway or break into your house and try and like hunt you down, which is gonna be really weird. I think I remember when AR games like were first a thing, and they were like way before Pokemon Go, way before, like my very first smartphone, like 2012, I think, when I got my first smartphone. Yeah, that was like very, very early, and it was very, very bad, and I still think AR technology is still really bad. VR technology is still a lot better. You want to check my reaction to last week's video, which was the FNAF reboot video. I'll leave it right up there. Also going to be linked down below in the description. Also going to be in a place on my channel with all the other FNAF game theory videos going in chronological order. There was also a Science of FNAF video that I did in the past. Apparently they took all these videos off the channel, or they delisted them, but they're still on the playlist somehow, because Austin, who's the dude that does the science videos for game theorists, is going his separate way or something like that. But people said I should do this video, so I'm gonna do it. Also, shout out to the patrons. They get the videos there early. Lamented Paywall channel. I'll be taking on the Pokemon champion for Pokemon White in my Nuzlocke today. I beat the Elite Four last week and had to stop because I had to go to a concert. But I'm doing that at 5 p.m. today. It's gonna be interesting. But let's go ahead and jump into this video. All right. Okay. What is he doing? Google Docs?
Dear Scott Cawthon. Hi, it's
Hi.
me, Austin.
It's
and
me.
It is time
I'm
for
the
my
problem.
biggest
It's me.
challenge yet. Can I do a video on a
Can
game
you?
that I haven't played yet, that isn't even out yet, based on no gameplay footage because it does not exist? And
Well, I
just
guess.
to make it even extra
Also,
challenging,
11-11,
can
make
we
a wish.
turn one single image from the promotional press package into
Into-
an entire video? Can we? Can we do it?
Can you?
You bet your donkey we can.
And that's called
The topic I want to cover
monetization.
today is actually really cool, and the main goal
Austin,
of
who
going through
went a
all
separate
of
way, and
this
these
is to make
videos are
sure that I don't
delisted
say
or something.
anything that offends my favorite Persian electrical engineer on this website, Electroboom. So no, it's not
Electroboom.
the voltage that kills, but the current in this video. If I can get from right now all the way to the very end without saying anything super wrong about electrical engineering,
wrong.
I am going to consider that a solid win.
That-
And it
yeah.
all boils down to this one picture from the press package for
Is
the
he getting
Five Nights at
electrocuted?
Freddy's augmented reality game that's coming out soon-ish?
I don't think
anyway,
it's still
the game,
around, is
officially
it?
called Five Nights at
I
Freddy's
don't think it was very
AR
good.
Special Delivery, which is apparently trying to compete with anime for convoluted titles, will
Oh, I was
basically
like,
let
wait,
you
was that a
play
thing?
Five Nights at Freddy's in the real world with your phone, so you can live in permanent fear by associating murderous animatronics with your real, actual house.
You see.
The one that you sleep in. So that's fun. The game, like all augmented reality games, is played with your phone
The
as
thing
the
about
main
that,
interface with the rest of the world.
I have a
and as
nightstand gun,
result,
a desk
the
gun, and a
designers
door
of
gun.
FNAF AR-SD made the game reflect this by making it so all the buttons and stuff you press in-game are smartphone related. This
Oh,
also
so, like,
allows them
turn
to
your
seamlessly integrate
flashlight
one of the
on your
normally
phone?
baffling core game contrivances into the FNAF series into the game, the limited battery power. This brings us
you can
back
run out of
to
battery?
the picture from before. This one, a picture that shows us a returning mechanic from Sister Location, where you use electric shocks to temporarily disable the evil possessed robots that are trying to kill you. An electric shock
Yeah, that
coming
cattle prod would
from
come in
your
handy.
cell phone, leaping several feet into a robot.
I don't
with
think
enough
it's possible.
power to disable them. Oh boy.
Yeah, no. You know.
So, shocking.
You gotta have, like, a
someone with
transformer
your
in your
cell
phone.
This is not an easy
Not like
numbers in,
Michael
numbers
Bay,
out
but, like,
question
Transformers
to
not like in a
answer
microwave.
because there are a lot of moving parts to consider. We have some problems to overcome, but in the shortest, simplest terms, is it possible to use
No.
your cell phone to produce giant electrical arcs?
No, not several
Maybe.
feet. It depends on the
Try and
phone,
figure it out.
but
the first major problem is the robot itself. So the convention in FNAF,
How
starting
conductive
with
is it?
Sister
How
Location,
conductive
is
is
that
the air?
electricity temporarily disables animatronics. This is not a permanent state. This is, unfortunately, not how electronics work. If you apply enough electricity to an electronic
to
device
pause it,
to
it'll
render
kill
it
it.
non-functional, that is, generally speaking,
Dead.
a permanent state.
Yes.
You have
It
killed
doesn't come back.
Good job. This is because if you apply really high currents to devices that exceed its
burns.
rating, it will cause some component to permanently fail by burning out, because hey, electricity is a force caused by the moving of electrons, and its main byproduct is heat. A lot of electronics are protected by what's called a fuse, which is a point through which all electricity has to flow before reaching delicate components. If too much electricity flows through a fuse, the metal will melt and disconnect, breaking off the flow.
I didn't even know that's how fuses work, actually.
That means that some devices need to be repaired by resoldering or plugging in a new fuse. But hey, at least it didn't fry any of the important parts. Unfortunately, in the case of Five Nights at Freddy's, this does not work, because if the animatronics turn themselves back on, that means that they clearly
they're like
don't
souls,
have a fuse.
so maybe that
fuse dies,
a little different.
it dies. Your house actually has very similar technology in it. It's your circuit breaker box. When too much electricity flows through a breaker, it heats up a deflected piece of metal, which activates a switch that disables the flow of electricity to a specific area.
And you gotta go flip the switch again.
The problem here is that breakers still need manual reactivation, meaning that once you disable a FNAF robot, it's turned off until some idiot turns it back on. Or at least that's what I thought, until I discovered
we had
auto
issues
resetting circuit breakers.
in my house
because
people wired it
same
idiots.
way as a normal switch breaker, but as a metal cools off after
they couldn't turn a light on and
it will
run the
deflect
microwave.
back into place, reconnecting the power. Bam! Got him! The lowest rated automatically resetting breaker I could find was rated to switch off when 12 volts and 10 amps flow through it at a minimum of 4.5 seconds and a max of 28 seconds.
Okay.
We want the most temperamental breaker we can find, because that's going to make it way more likely that our phone battery is going to realistically be able to work. The higher the power requirements, the less likely.
So you're giving it the best case scenario, which means it's not going to work.
To make this make sense. Now the electricity. Phone batteries are all different, but most of them are under 4,000 milliamp hours and rated for 3.85 volts. This gives the typical phone battery a total energy storage of 51,282 joules, which we can figure out by taking the milliamp hours and multiplying them by 3,600 to get the total charge, and then multiply that by the voltage, which for my phone, a Pixel XL, which has seen better days.
Oh my god,
Look, I let my kid walk off with it, and when they came back, it looked like this. Life
really?
lesson, do not let your toddler play with your phone.
Don't have kids.
It still works fine. Look, see?
Yeah. I take care of my phone.
Okay, I'll get a new phone.
The only time I ever heard a cracked tone was my brother Gronk spiked mine onto a metal pole,
and a voltage of 3.85 volts, giving it a total.
It was a Casio command. It was like indestructible.
282 joules. Bam! We can mostly ignore this for now, but it will be important later. Now, electrical arcs.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Lots of variables
here. These are really tricky. Electricity does not want to arc across open air.
No.
There's usually tons of easier things to jump to before leaping through the air, which at distances in this picture are what, like 1 to 3 feet? That gives air a resistance of anywhere from 115-ish billion gigaohms to 375 billion gigaohms. In order to get electricity to arc
I don't know anything about ohms,
you
but
need really, really high voltages, like absurdly high. Technically, and this is technically, the voltage requirements to arc through a given gas are governed by Paschen's law, which is this ugly monster that I simply could not get to behave at all. I suspect it's this prime symbol over here that's giving me trouble.
I don't even understand. I wouldn't know where to begin with that.
The voltages required for arcing electricity are pretty well known and mostly kinda linear. In Earth's atmosphere, at standard conditions, electricity requires 3 million volts per meter in order to arc. So for our phone zapper, we're looking at anything from 915,000 volts to 3 million volts. That is a lot to expect from a tiny battery rated for 3.85 volts. Now, there are ways to boost voltage while sacrificing your current, though. Unfortunately, all the best ways to do this seem to be using alternating current, or AC, for like
alternating
1,000
current
different reasons
instead
that I don't
of direct
want to get
current,
into because I will say something wrong and mess it up. Chemical batteries, meanwhile, provide DC or direct current, and it's here where I would love to cut away to an AC/DC song, and if I did that, Columbia Records would be like, and it's here where I'd love to take all of your money.
All of it.
So here's a knockoff version instead.
Oh no. And it still might get copyrighted. Those
And
are
lastly, on
inverters,
whether
I
or not
believe,
using
right?
a power inverter to turn the DC into AC, or whether to use what's called a DC step-up boost converter would be the best way to go. But then, looking at it further, I realized this wasn't even close to my biggest problem. The shortcomings of AC to DC is irrelevant when you compare it to the actual biggest problem.
Somebody let
how do you store all these volts
Styropyro
on
do this.
such a
Just
low
do it.
power source? Because it turns out
Store all
you
these
can't
volts.
build a single capacitor capable of storing 3 million volts because, like I said before, air is a great insulator, better than most others. So voltages that are high enough to arc through the air are probably going to arc through any other material you make the capacitor out of. A capacitor is a pretty simple device. It's actually really similar to a chemical battery, but it holds electrons differently. Specifically, it's able to hold high voltages and release them much faster than a typical chemical battery. See, a chemical battery, which is like really almost like every single battery you use in everyday life, is a device that stores
I know they
energy
pass through a membrane and they go back and forth.
In the case of lithium,
or when they go through
like
it,
your cell phone has, one side of the battery has lithium cobalt oxide,
and then it goes to the membrane and creates,
and they're separated by an
energy
electrolyte.
and goes to the
charge
other
the
side.
battery, the electrons are attracted to this side and flow through the power source and then deposited on the graphite. The lithium ions are then attracted through the electrolyte to the other side. Then, when you power something, this whole process works in reverse. Capacitors work in a very similar way by having two conductive metals side by side separated by an insulator. Electrons are free to build up on one side and push electrons out the other side. One side becomes negatively charged and the other positively charged, and you can release all this energy at once. Bam! The trade-off with capacitors is that they can hold less total energy than a battery, and they can hold it for only a kind of short period of time. And there are practical limitations to how much voltage a single capacitor can hold. Okay, so what are our problems? Just to reiterate, in order to zap an animatronic, we have to up our 3.85 volt battery voltage up to 3 million volts somehow. We also have to store this energy in order to release it all at once. The only thing working in our favor is that once the arc has been established, the air it's passing through becomes ionized, which allows electricity to flow much more easily through it. Meaning 3 million volts is a temporary requirement.
It's just the one time.
The step-up converter I could find
or you got close and back it up, maybe.
300 volts. That is not ideal because capacitors can only store charge at the peak voltage they're provided with. But do not fear, because capacitors that are wired in series together add their voltages together. Meaning we only need a minimum of 3,000-ish capacitors and a maximum of 10,000. Since we don't actually need a ton of power output, we can use relatively weak ones, I think. Don't judge me, my king!
Did Electroboom did a video about this? I really hope he did.
Buy capacitors in bulk for a discount so we can spend only $30,000 to $97,000 on capacitors weighing almost 19 kilograms or over 40 pounds. Now, once we've established our first arc, essentially ionizing the air, all we have to do is deliver a comparatively tame 20 amps at 12 volts over our ionized wire made of oxygen and nitrogen over 4.5 to 28 seconds. With the aid of capacitors and step-ups, can our 51,282 joule battery handle this?
You're gonna need like a battery pack. There's a book bag. It'd be so heavy.
Lithium-ion batteries can only really draw about 2.5 amps of current tops without risking melting the wires connected to them. This, along with volts, is our bottleneck. Because if you fry the connectors, you're never going to be able to use your phone or its battery ever again. The max wattage of our battery, which is joules per second or amps times volts, is 9.625 watts. At 9.625 joules per second and a required joules between 1,080 and 6,720, this
He's trying so hard.
Take anywhere from 112 seconds to just shy of 12 minutes to charge our capacitors and an average of 27 shots per fully charged battery. That's kind of impressive. But of course, the implications if you were to build such a device are utterly terrifying.
It'd be expensive.
Sure, maybe you could shock an animatronic.
You could.
Maybe.
It's also more likely you're going to get shocked by it. Yeah.
You! The current is just as likely to short to you or the phone chassis.
Oh, it's way more likely.
Depending upon where it hits.
It takes the path of least resistance.
Milliamps, which would give you a really nasty shock, like youch, one of the worst ones you've ever felt in your life. That's the best case scenario, because if conditions are just right, they can deliver up to 120 milliamps to your body through your heart, which is instant, irreversible death. Also, that's all ignoring the Ghostbusters backpack you need to wear of full electrical equipment and capacitors and boosters in order to get the voltage high enough. I mean, honestly, even if you were to use a Tesla coil, usually Teslas that produce these voltages are huge. So either way, you're looking at a big,
and it's still going to get you first.
And Also, the implications of this is that the electric shocks are not an improvised weapon because the animatronics are installed
phone can
with
just do it.
auto-resetting circuit breakers. They are designed with this in mind. So you have a thousands of dollars device that exists all in order to temporarily disable a murderous robot for a few minutes. Wonderful! Hey, you know a much cheaper way to turn electricity created from a lithium-ion battery into a dead animatronic? It's called a Sawzall. You're welcome.
Dude, a Sawzall? Oh, it depends on what they're made out of.
Anyway, maybe I messed up enough stuff that you learned in your first 2 years of electrical engineering school to give Electro Boom material to do his own video, and maybe
I hope
he'll
he did.
finally, I don't know, make a functioning taser out of a cell phone battery or something. Man, I hope no one floods his inbox.
Oh, they wanted to do that?
Taser that runs off your cell phone battery.
Styro Pyro, give it to him.
Sincerely, Austin.
Who is unfortunately no longer working with the Game Theorist, I believe. I think he's going his own way to do things. So, Pikachu is shockingly terrible. Sword and Shield. Who's getting paid? The Science of Video Game Millionaires? Wait, that sounds interesting. To explain how, like, the economy of video games and, like, how certain characters got money and stuff. Oh, this video is unlisted. Oh. So if you want to see this video, top link down below in the description is going to be a link to it, which that's kind of like the only way you can find it now because this playlist that Taylor put together for me forever ago because, God, Mechatar, or Green Arkwolf, I think is her name now, asked for this series for an entire year. 370 days straight, he asked for this series. And I finally did it, and you all love it. Thank you so much for watching it. Like I said, at 5 p.m., I'm going to be taking on the Pokemon champion, Pokemon White, in my White Nuzlocke. It's my first time playing Gen 5. I beat the Elite Four last week, lost one Pokemon. I have no idea what to expect. The story's crazy. This, I figured, like, when he said I had to jump across, I was like, but you're closest to it. That's not going to go well. Like, why would it go that way when it could go this way, which is a lot closer? Because it always takes the path of least resistance. Because that's how, I believe, physics work? Is it physics that takes the path of least resistance? I think it is. I have no idea. Come back next week for the Cult of Glitchtrap. Not looking forward to that one, but you know I'm looking forward to even less? The Puppet Master. I don't like that thumbnail. But I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. I hope you're subscribed. But until next video, take care and cue the music.